Welcome to the beautiful, peaceful Wanuskewin Heritage Park located just north of Saskatoon. And yes, if I mispronounced that, feel free to let me know in the comments down below, although that was the pronunciation that seemed most common on Google. This park stands as a tribute to First Nations history on the land, but also meant to bridge relations between First Nations groups and other individuals currently residing not just in this area of Greater Saskatoon, but also in Saskatchewan. When you come up to the park, you notice the beautiful massive landscapes, the bear statues, the bison. Bison are a big focus at this park. There is, of course, all of these are art pieces. I have to say, I love First Nations art. I find that there's always some really profound, deep meaning to the First Nations art pieces I have studied and I've seen in my life. And I just love to see the word sculpture art, but also the very colorful painting style art that we'll see later in this video. Yes, there was a tick warning. It's tick season, so that meant we had to moderate or modify some of our activities. And if you're interested, you could pause right here to see all that there is to do at the Heritage Park. And side note, cute little prairie dogs to be seen all around, and yes, they hide in these little holes. So if you paused and saw the map, you'll see that here we are walking from the main center, like the check-in center, to the bison sighting area. The bison statues again all around. Here, yes, disappointment alert or disclaimer, whichever one you prefer. So it's a massive landscape that these bison are allowed to roam in. And it just so happened that when we made it up to the bison viewing area, there were no bison right in front of us. I mean, obviously it's disappointing by way of human, emotion and excitement, but look at this model of the park. You'll see how much land there actually is for the bison to roam in. So that main structure being the building, the line down being the bison sighting area. And I mean, look at the examples they've put even on the map of where bison could go. And again, these little bison statues all over. This one had a bird. And yes, prairie dog alert over and over and over. We love those. Just some more bison art. I mean, all of it is just so evocative and it makes you think 100 different things, like including when I see this like starving skeletal back to what is otherwise such a strong, powerful bison. There's so much beauty, natural and sculptural, on the outside of this park. Another activity we were able to do, or on either site we were able to see within the park because it was so close to the main building, was what was called a teepee village. Teepees are a traditional, First Nations kind of structure that they used to live in. Look at the art, by the way, the paintings, the colors. So the colors and the vibrancy of First Nations art is always so mesmerizing to me. I have studied fine arts in undergrad, and I have to tell you, those colors are not something we'd seen in the more conventionally presented, like European fine arts. So it's something that is so refreshing to me when I see that richness of colors that, again, I just don't see certain other cultures going there. Not to say other cultures don't have beautiful art themselves, but it's just always a really nice treat when I do see the First Nations paintings. This is inside the teepee. I mean, individuals obviously would have resided in these buildings back in the day, and I do think in some communities they still do. There's an amphitheater here, obviously modernized with a boombox and all that. Inside the structure, there's different art to be seen and knowledge and readings and so much more to learn about the culture and the land site. This was a little mini bison exhibit. This was a sculptural, I should say, exhibit. All these different sculptures made of stone, now First Nation sculptures. There is an museum called McMichael Museum in Ontario, just a little bit north of Toronto, and the McMichael has the largest collection of Canadian art in Canada, I believe. And that one features First Nations sculptures, I mean, in ivory and in bone and in, whalebone and all these other different, in teeth of certain animals. It's just an amazing details to sculpture, but also sculptures that genuinely mean something and speak to everyday life, as you would have seen the hunting inspired, wolf outfit on top of the man, I imagine. This is yet another wing of the inside structure. This was like another mini museum. So again, there's all these different rooms, some with art, some with knowledge, some with just like letters and books, and there's even a kids play center. So yes, we didn't get to see a bison from the bison viewing platform, but we do get to see a taxidermied bison up close, and I think that's a pretty good win to me. Just showing you here the size perspective, the bison's eyeball is maybe like half of my hand. So this is a massive, massive creature we're looking at. And no, don't worry, of course I didn't touch it. I found this very interesting too, as somebody that speaks a lot of languages myself. The Cree syllabics I found super interesting. There was also one of the other, I guess the fourth thing I'm showing in this video, because I think there were like maybe 10 things to do. A lot of them we didn't do out of fear of ticks and quite frankly distance with little kids. But another thing was the playground, and this was one of the best outdoor playgrounds I've ever seen in my life. So after we left the park, I went back driving beside it just to get this footage for you guys. So remember I showed in that cast or model of the park that it's just this massive space for the bison to roam? Well, here they are. They've actually on the outermost edge of the fence. So of course we weren't going to be able to see them from the sighting area. And you could see them on this day just driving on the highway. So we did this drive a few times just to see the bison, and I wanted to make sure that you guys didn't leave this video being like clickbait. So here we are. There are the bison after all. A small group of them. Obviously a very culturally significant animal for the First Nations peoples. Bison used to roam. I think when I'd read up on it, like hundreds of thousands of bison on the land, and they were pretty much all but eradicated, and now they're starting to intentionally reintroduce them, at least in Saskatchewan, and I hope all around in North America as well. Now this is the drive back to Saskatoon. Just wanted to show you guys a little bit of the prairie landscape that we see out here in what is Midwestern Canada. In terms of final thoughts, there is no world in which I would say anything negative about this park. I mean, I think the colonized Canadian experience as toward First Nations people is one of the greatest points of shame of this country. I wish we could learn so much more about First Nations groups and their traditional knowledges and also their modern experiences. I wish things were different in Canada, and I know it's a shared experience with a lot of colonized countries. I know in America as well, that's a very difficult conversation. The First Nations issues from a legal perspective is something I studied in law school myself. I took every single course on the matter that I could. I only, from a moral perspective, have good things to say about this park. I wish this experience was more part of our everyday experience here in Canada. And honestly, I'm thankful to the First Nations peoples behind Wanuskewin Park for wanting to share this experience to begin with. The only suggestion from the visitor perspective, regardless of it being a heritage park, like if this was just any other park, logistically, I would say because of the tick risk and because of honestly, even just the annoying mosquitoes, wear long everything, like long pants, long sleeves, all of that. And yes, do be prepared that you may or may not see the bison. That's outside of everybody's control. There's nothing that can be done to like wrangle them in just because you want a selfie, but an amazing experience even just to see them off the road. And if that's an animal you're really into, I know I am. I love bison. There are plenty of other opportunities to spot them from up close in Saskatchewan. There's literally a park just for bison about 2 hours, I think, south of Saskatoon. And then even at the Saskatoon Zoo, I mean, there's bison there, obviously much closer because zoos are much smaller, much more confined spaces. All that to say, an amazing experience. I know this is a luxury lifestyle channel, and to me, it is a luxury to be able to take the time and to learn about topics and have conversations that others might not be having in their daily life. And I feel really thankful to have been able to experience this. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on Friday because we now post content twice a week on this channel, every Tuesday, every Friday. And don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and click subscribe. Thank you for watching.